Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of You Are the Masterpiece, where I'm inviting these amazing, incredible people that remind us that, hey, we do not have to be perfect as long as we are taking the effort and we are work in progress and the masterpieces at the same time. And I'm super, super excited to welcome into the studio Crystalline Bell. Crystalline, welcome.
Hey, hi Irina. Hello, everyone.
Hello, beautiful. It's always great to have you with me on the platform. It's like a beautiful, beautiful energy that is just flowing. And I'm super, super excited to dive into our conversation because it's going to be rich and beautiful. But before we dive in, just tell a little bit about yourself and who you are helping in this world.
Great. Thank you so much, Irina. So, my name is Crystalline Bell, and I'm a spiritual business mentor. I work with women coaches who are heart-centered and who want to establish themselves with a real business. And right now, I am going to be hosting the Liberated Coach Challenge. So, if you would like to join me, it's totally free. There's a link in the comments and in the captions, but this is an opportunity for you to start building your business from the inside out. For me, that's the most important thing to do, to work on your insides, to get aligned with your higher self, to get aligned with your future self, the woman who has already built a six-figure coaching business, and then to start taking action from that place. So that's what we're going to be doing in the Liberated Coach Challenge.
Yeah, how beautiful. And how many days is the challenge?
It's 5 days and it started yesterday, but there
Mm-hmm.
are replays that go on through August 9th. So through the weekend, you can get yourself caught up with whatever you miss, but you can also join me today. I will be live at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific, which is 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern.
Beautiful. Love that. All right. So let's dive into our conversation because today we are talking about running your business from your lower self. And my first question, Crystalline, would be because I'm always kind of the advocate for the audience. Not everybody is so, tuned the way we are. So let's first define what is lower self, what is higher self, because I'm sure a lot of people hear this terminology, but not everybody knows. Let's just explain with just, like what is lower self versus higher self.
That's such a great question because it's something that we can very easily take for granted, Irina. And I think also we have different meanings for what that is. Like it depends on
Yeah.
if you're talking to a Freudian person, someone who's in
Mm-hmm.
psychology or psychoanalysis. But for me, I think about the lower self as being kind of the self that is living here in this three-dimensional world who has to deal with their fears, their doubts, anxieties, and who also has to pay the bills and
Mm-hmm.
is trying to make things happen in the world. So I think about that as being the lower self, some that the part of us that is really caught up in the three-dimensional aspect of life and who is maybe thinking that they are alone in the world and who is not totally aware of the God self or the spirit guides.
And the connection what we have, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful. Can I just add, like I totally resonate with what you shared, but also like one more piece. I feel like that lower self is constantly in, doubts and worries and fear because that lower self is not connected to the higher self, right? So basically, like you mentioned, navigating the 3D reality, which is like, like our earth costume. But higher
Mm,
self is knowing that we are just so much more than our
mhm.
physical body, and
Yep.
we are actually have that guidance and connection that can actually navigate this 3D reality much faster and much better.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Absolutely. And you know, that lower self I always think about that part of me that was stuck. You know, maybe when I was 7 years old, I had some kind of an experience that I experienced as traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
And the lower self is still kind of stuck in 1977. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she's still, there's a part of me that still feels like it's 1977. So when I'm trying to
Mm.
go forward in 2026, I am like stuck with these things that are still very, I'm still terrified on some level or dealing from that
Mm.
trauma.
Totally, totally hear you and say hello to Zaina. Zaina, it's
Hi, Zaina.
always great. Yeah, it's always great to see
Excellent.
you with us. Yeah, I totally, totally agree, Crystalline. This is something I'm still navigating in my, like personal life.
Absolutely.
Even though I'm very confident from the outside and, like it seems like I'm fearless, there is still that residue of trauma that I experienced in my marriage and the relationship that is still kind of haunting me.
Mhm.
So I totally agree with you. And it's just, like the reminder that we are telling to ourselves, hey, there is nothing to fear, but fear, just disgusting itself as something practical. And as long as we know that we are bigger than that fear
Mhm.
is actually something that is going to disappear as time goes by.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get you, you know, Irina, I think that's what makes us compelling coaches and mentors is that, you know, we're not claiming to be perfect. We
Totally.
live this in our 3D lives, and at the same time, we are mastering it and we're successful in our businesses. Yes, you know, that, you know, you can have that kind of trauma that you have to work through from your personal life that has to, you need time to do that.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's
Time to
you're a
heal.
person who grows and expands. You're going to always grow and expand. So yeah, you've got to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm so happy to be surrounded by like-minded people, people who like you, people who are here for each other. It's not just this cold, cold world that we experience before we actually tune in who we are and how we are all interconnected. So this is such a beautiful, beautiful space to realize that we are not alone and we do not have to do it alone. That's why I love this conversation for today because today we are really talking about what does it mean running the business, right? Let's come back to the business portion because that's exactly how you are helping people. And let's connect it. What does it mean when somebody is running the business? Because remember when we all started the business, weren't we all inspired and motivated? And it's interesting by historically by the statistics, not so many people are staying in the business, not so many businesses are surviving, especially talking about solopreneurship, because there are a lot of challenges that are presented and not everybody is ready to tackle them. And that's where we are talking about being in the right communities and having the mentor by your side.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so beautifully said. Now, one of the things that I learned from doing this myself, you know, I learned that it's the business, the process of building your business is where you do your expansion. I know that a lot of people they think, well, I'm not qualified to run my business and I'm not equipped to run my business and they want to kind of get perfect before they even start. So they do a lot of certifications, they take a lot of classes, but they never actually pull the trigger on their own businesses. And what I learned is that Actually, the curriculum, the real curriculum, is saying yes to the business and actually putting it out there. Starting, launching, building, and saying yes, and letting people know that this is what you're actually doing while you're doing it, and not waiting until all the circumstances are perfect and putting yourself out there. That's the lower mind at work. That lower mind will make you think that you're not qualified, that you're not ready, that you still need another qualification, or you need more support, more money behind you, more experience behind you, when actually you just need to get out there and start swimming.
What a beautiful, beautiful shift of mindset. Because again, like, unless we actually swim in this ocean, when people just starting, right, a lot of people do not even realize. So everybody is like working on their websites, and this is something I'm also facing when I started working with my clients. Okay, I have to have the program before I invite. And I said, no, first invite, and people are going to tell you what something they are looking for, and create the program based on the demand, right? Don't think that once you have the website, people are just showing up magically. Don't think that if you have the program, everybody is signing up. It works other way around. So that's exactly what I noticed as well, Crystalline, that coaches usually spend the time. I feel like this is the distraction, because they don't want to actually have the conversations with the potential clients, because yes, it feels intimidated. Honestly, I'm still not good at just picking up the phone and making the phone calls. Yes, like I'm mastering DMs. Yes, the email conversations are the easiest, because again, you don't have to face anybody. You just blah blah blah, write something on the email. DM is a little bit, like step above, but I feel like that, that this step is the one when we are actually picking up the phone and just,
Yeah,
like facing that person on the other line, because there are a lot of things that coming up. It's like, what if they're not going to pick up? What if they're going to say, like, why are you calling me, right? So there is a lot of right, so there are a lot of different things that show up, but it just, like being real. Even though we are the experts, it doesn't mean that we are not facing our own fears, because
that's
just to
right.
say that we don't have any fears, that wouldn't be true, because we are humans.
Oh my God, so true. Right now I'm right now I'm in the middle of a launch, and Irina, last year I did the same, not the same launch, it's different materials,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
last year was a 9 year. I'm talking about numerology right now. And so
Right.
anybody who knows that it's a 9 year understands that there is a challenge that you are facing in a 9 year. It's like the 9 years are the culmination of all the hardships and the challenges that
Mhm.
you've gone through in the previous 9 years. It's like it snowballs. So for me, not only was it the kind of universal global 9 year, it was also a personal 9 year. So
Mm,
I was in my shadows, and it was a tough year. So
mm,
not only did I do a summit, and I did the same kind of a challenge, a summit, then a challenge, and then the retreat. I
mm,
had half the summit people. That this year we had a really wonderful summit turnout. Plenty of people. It met the expectations. But last year it was about 1/10 of what it was
mhm,
this year.
mhm.
So that was very, very challenging. And then afterward, I had this challenge that I was running, and I think we had 9 people sign up for my challenge. That was very, very challenging. 9 people signed up. Do you know how many people showed up?
Tell.
Zero,
Mm,
zero, zero. So that was very hard, very challenging. 0 people for the challenge, 0 people for the retreat. In that 9 year, it felt like a failure. right?
Mm.
And I'm not afraid to say that that was a failure. Okay. It did not go the way that I planned. It was a failure. Doing it again this year, that kind of memory of last year followed me all the way around into what we were doing this year. And keeping my spirits up, keeping my heart open, keeping my mind open, and allowing it to be different because I had a choice. I could have gone in with the fear of failure. I could have gone in kind of feeling sad and broken and, like hiding in that lower self because the lower self did show up. The lower
Mm-hmm.
self showed up, but it did not rule. I kept working from that higher place and the results have been magnificent. So, this is how the lower self and the higher self need to interact. Understanding that the lower self has its feelings, but you don't make decisions from the lower self. You don't give up.
I love that. And hello, Stephanie. Thanks
Hey,
so much for
Stephanie.
joining. Yeah. So, you know what, as you were sharing, and it's interesting because, again, Crystalline, that's exactly what our conversation about, right? Do not allow any circumstances or results make any judgment about who we are because
Mm,
it's not about what we are actually doing that determine our worth. It's actually who are we as showing up in this world, right? And
mm,
I also wanted to point out that it's two launches are never the same. We can relaunch the same structure, the same thing, and we never know. Sometimes, even after success, it could be something that didn't work out. But what I wanted to point out is this is the mindset. Again, we coming back like you are at core teaching people how do we connect spirituality with the business running, right? So basically, you're that spiritual mentor, understanding that everything comes down to our mindset because we are inspired, we have the plan, right? A lot of times we heard that, okay, you have to have the system, you have to have the structure, and you are just plugging all the, things into that structure. And then boom, you launch and it's not what you want it to be. And then what happens, a lot of people deflate, a lot of people starting to blame either like the audience saying, oh my god, like they are so like lame, they are not responsive, they are not engaging, or they are going to start blaming something else. But the right way for somebody who really understands how our mindset works, right, is just like literally step aside and say, okay, this is the data, it's already wonderful, it's already phenomenal because I have the data, and now I want to see what I can do something different in order to attract more people. I don't know if you ever noticed, Crystalline, like I'm just, receiving a lot of these, big names of the people who are running the different launches. And then what I see, the way that they adjust, they start throwing extra bonuses. Like, maybe the launch didn't predict the sales that they wanted. So they start bombarding with other bonuses just to make it more lucrative. And again, this is for everyone, including ourselves, to know that there is always a way to correct something, and there is no point to get disappointed or upset because, again, that person that was there before launch and that person who is after the launch, it actually two different persons because we are navigating, we learn how to still preserve that energy. Talking about manifestation, we have to be on a certain frequency in order to produce results, regardless what's going on. Even nobody shows up, even nobody's watching our live. By the way, Evie, thanks for coming, it's great to
Hi,
see you.
Evie.
Right? Even though people do not show up or the results are not there, we want to preserve the energy because that energy is creating the opportunity, even though nobody's showing up. Because again, we are so prone to just operate in our 3D reality with everything has to be seen. But now, if we connect that there are invisible forces that are always working for us, and the more we connect with that energy, the more we see how things start unfolding.
I think that's really such a beautiful approach. And it's interesting, Irina. You and one of the reasons why I love you is because we both have that kind of very positively focused outlook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very resilient, okay? But one of the things that I've noticed in myself and in my years leading up to now, like I've gone through a big transformation. And the thing that I really want people to understand is what Irina has beautifully described is not always so easy to reach on the inside. And
So
I
true.
want to I
So true.
I want to make sure that you understand that the work she's describing is real. Number one, she is 100% correct, period. What you think matters. But I want to anchor that in your central nervous system. That lower self, that mindset, those emotions are in your body and they are in your neural pathways. They're in your brain. They're embedded in your physical self. They are in your cells. So when you find yourself stuck, you're going to need to do work inside yourself in your physical body. You need to tap. So, doing EFT is a great practice to help you break up those patterns, but you also need a massage. Go get a physical massage, get a deep tissue massage, get a an emotional release technique massage. Get something that's going to help you release the tension from your physical body. Go for a run, do some physical exercise. You're going to have to get out of the seat, out of the chair. We coaches, we sit here and we work, we write, and we're building funnels. We're doing all the things and everything is online, and it's very contracting as we move into the physicality of doing our work. We're not artists painting on a big on a big screen here or on a big canvas. We're here on this little screen and everything is contracting. So it's really important for us, in order to reach that state that Irina is speaking about, we have to get back into our bodies. We have to push away from this desk. We have to get out of the house. We need to get into nature. We need other people. We need somebody to work on our bodies for us. You can go to the massage you can go to get your nails done and sit in that massage chair. That is not enough. You need somebody
Mhm.
who's actually going to do really good, deep body work on you to help break up those muscular holding patterns. If you're grinding your teeth, you're gritting your teeth at night, you're waking up with a stiff jaw, you're waking up with a sore neck, your shoulders are sore. You gotta stop and break that down. And then it's going to be easier for you to start embracing these higher techniques that Irina is talking about.
So true. I love how you brought it to grounding. So, so beautiful. Well, we continue our conversation. I feel it's so much greatness. And thanks so much, Evie. Thanks so much, Stephanie. Thanks so much, Daina. Everybody who is joining and commenting. We love you. We appreciate you. Stay tuned. We will be right back after this short break. All right, and we are back on our lovely episode of running your business from your lower self. And we are here together with Crystalline. I'm enjoying this conversation. There are so many great gems. And like I said, it doesn't matter what we know, there is always something we are learning. with each conversation that we are having, because everybody is so unique and so different. So I'm super enjoying this conversation with Crystalline. And thank you so much, Crystalline, for actually taking and bringing us to the, physical body, and how we can actually, shift that energy, that tension, that stress, whatever we have in the body.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. It's so important, Irina. And I think also to understand that the body holds patterns, the mind holds patterns, the emotions hold patterns. A lot of our reactions to things that are emotional are simply habituated. They're
Mm-hmm.
we're wired. We're not even having real emotions. We're having habituated emotions back from 1977. So taking the time again to break those patterns, to stop that kind of momentum when it starts, that's how we start to actually have the shifts in our real world, because if we keep reacting to things in the same way, we're going to keep having the same reactions come because we're magnetic. We're operating at that frequency of fear or doubt, and that is what we are going to absolutely create.
And I love what Evie says. She says we are all these artists, right? And every day we are starting with the blank canvas, and it's so beautiful, right? Just to stay intentional and allow the creative creator within to manifest on the outside. And I feel this is such a beautiful, beautiful process, right? Again, because our maybe that's what comes with the lower self. Our lower self is like, I always remember that movie where the family is traveling in the car, and the boy is like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" So that's exactly our lower self, who is constantly like checking in. How come I did not arrive yet, right? So every day becomes, rather than enjoying the journey, it becomes like, it's not here yet. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what creates more tension. And guess what? The more we are coming with all that force of that we have to get it, the more we have to get it, the more it goes away from us, right? So it's another great reminder that every day it's a journey, and every day something wonderful is happening. And why don't we focus on the miracles that are always around us? Maybe there is a different insight for today. Maybe there is a different approach that we haven't done before. There are so many different things and blessings that we can see as the evidence that we are on the right track, rather than just pointing to the outcome.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's funny, Irina, I was out walking my dog this morning, and I was, just being present and feeling. And my mind fell to one of my personal problems that I want to overcome, something that I'm working on, where I'm getting a little stuck, right? So my dream is to be in Paris and to own my own apartment. Now, I am a serial renter. My
Mhm,
family, this is a family, this goes back years from my
mhm,
mom and my stepdad. We were always renters. We
mhm,
owned our own dental office and we owned that business property, but our homes, we always rented our homes.
mhm,
So this morning I was out walking a polo, and I said, are you afraid to acknowledge out loud that you actually want to own your own home? And the
mhm,
answer that came from my gut was yes. I'm afraid to acknowledge that out loud. I've
mhm.
spent my last apartment, I was spending $5,000 a month on rent.
Cool.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on,
right.
come on. But that was
You
the
could have had the
mentality.
house already.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that's the mentality. This is why I'm saying that the mind is, everything is in the mind? So when I made that shift this morning, I realized, because one of the mistakes that we make is we think that we want to focus on the thing and that we need to heal the issue with renting, right? So, or apartment ownership or something like that. The thing that I actually needed to heal that came this morning was my relationship with permanence, having roots, being in one place, and establishing legacy. So
Hmm.
once I started working with that, it was amazing. I was walking down the street and it started blossoming inside me, and I could feel all the things. I could feel it in my body starting to release. My mind was opening and the tears started falling. I'm like, oh my God, this is about legacy. It's not about yes, okay, owning a home is one thing. That's an outcome, but that's the small thing. All right. The big thing is being permanent and leaving a legacy. It's about my relationship with legacy and permanence. Wow,
Look,
that was.
Edie wrote something in French. You translate for us.
Tu as- Elle a dit que tu es destiné à manifester ton propre lieu exceptionnel à Paris. Oui, tu as
Beautiful.
raison. Merci beaucoup, Evie.
Mhm. So
She said,
what she said,
she said, I'm destined to manifest my own, my true
thanks.
place, my exceptional place in Paris. And yes, I am. Thank you,
Okay.
darling. Thank you, my
You know
friend.
what? That's so fun because I also have the Paris vision, but I have the Paris vision where I'm getting engaged. So I feel like, this is like something that, like there are no coincidences in the universe. It's like we are all interconnected, and it's interesting how the universe actually speaks through
Mm,
all these synchronicities in our life.
mm. That's so
Mhm.
wonderful. I love that. So romantic, you know?
Yeah, Paris is romantic, right?
Yes, and getting engaged there,
Hmm.
absolutely. When I was there up until I just left there. So I left there in December and I was there for, I guess, five years I was there. And spending all this money on rent, living that lifestyle, feeling very, very good, loving that, but also aware that something wasn't right. Something was off. Loving it, but something was off. And I knew that God was going to lead me to the right, to the reckoning, so that I
Hmm.
could be set free. And I believe that we do have to follow our hearts. I believe
Hmm.
that we need to trust and we
Hmm.
have to go forward. If I hadn't gone forward, I don't believe that I would have made this decision. So
Hmm.
for women who are holding back, afraid to start their businesses, afraid, I want to say to you to go ahead and make that leap. Move forward. Get help from someone like Irina. Get help from someone like me so that you can do it with wisdom behind you. So
Oh my
important to
God,
have
so
guidance.
beautiful, said. And I just wanted to mention that that longing that we have inside, our soul is going to nudge us, and first it comes like the touch of the feather. But if we are not listening to that, it's going to actually magnitude to the wake up call where something happened. Like in my life, I had the divorce, and that was the time of the awakening, right? So if you do hear these little nudges and pay attention to them, right? Because again, we were never trained to pay attention. And for any coach who is already running their business and something is still not working and they start doubting, is it like really my path? Just connect with your heart. Because
Mhm.
again, if everything was easy, you wouldn't really become a different version of yourself, right? So we have to grow, we have to evolve, we have to learn how to make different decisions, how to decide faster, how to pivot, how to choose different ways that we can connect with people, we can invite, right? And that's the beautiful journey. And again, the reward comes as, success. But I actually invite everybody who's tuning in, just take any person that you admire and go back, check their story, because every story has a lot of heartbreak, a lot of struggles. Nobody just came in, wake up and say, I want to be the coach or business owner, and everything was just laid down for them in the red carpet. No, everybody had to actually struggle for something that they desire, but who they become in the process is even more important.
So important to say that. I'm glad you did because I feel like there is this kind of and actually I got teased about this the other day. I was sitting at dinner with some friends and one of my guy friends said, "Crystalline, your mistake is that you make it look too easy." And I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's true because people come and they see this polished version, but they don't understand that maybe my journey began my journey with working for myself and building things began in 2007, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's 20 years ago, right? So things are more polished right now, but where were they even 10 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rough, rough,
Yep.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's really important what Irina just said to ask somebody where they came from and there are a lot of coaches. I remember one of my peers, we were struggling together and she refused to acknowledge her struggles outwardly. She was one of the coaches that said, people don't need to know my struggle and people don't want to hear my struggle. The thing is, right now, she's got no clients. She's not even doing the coaching anymore. She never actually built the business. She wanted to hide behind her success, but people didn't want that. People don't want a coach who is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They want a coach. They want to be coached by someone who understands them, not like they learned about them from a book, but that they learned about them from experience. They want to walk in our paths. That's why I'm so raw about sharing my experiences, you know?
Absolutely. And that's how people relate, because somebody who went through the, circumstances you are describing, or somebody who maybe went through divorce, right? Right away, people are connecting and saying, oh, she has a very similar story. Because again, if we are just talking about success and we are hiding what actually is, behind the scene, people are not connecting because they're saying, oh, everything is so easy for her. I can't even relate to her, right?
Becomes unrelatable. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I just saw that the comments are there over to the side, so I'm able to see them as well. So yes, and thank you, Stephanie. And it's nice
Yes,
to learn
Evie.
about you all over there.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So beautiful. So beautiful. So, what would you want to give the audience? Maybe, like one tip that, like something that, maybe the tool or maybe the tip, something that they can try and test on themselves. Because again, we are talking about running your business from your lower self. What is something maybe like the first step to start from?
Yeah.
Anything that comes through you.
Thank you, Irina. So I would say that the key to being successful is to start simultaneously inside and outside. Every day you're going to be running your business. When you meet a challenge, don't back down. Go to your journal, get your pen in your journal, and start writing to your spirit guides, right? Why do I feel this way? This is the experience that I'm having. This is hard for me. Your spirit guides will answer you through your pen. All you got to do is write. Keep writing, and you will
Mhm.
write the solution, and then you go back and you finish your work.
I love that. Such a great tip. And again, it just for somebody who might be thinking, well, I do not know what am I gonna write, just try. Like I love to say just, like whatever new, because sometimes people don't try new experiences. And like I said, if you keep doing everything the same time, you are producing the same results. So for us to start experiencing different results, we gotta start doing something different.
That's it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one last thing I'm just going to throw out there. Put on your big girl panties, okay? This is not going to be easy. And, be thankful that it's not easy. Evie is saying here, real diamonds need heat, they need pressure. Absolutely, they need heat and pressure. And that's the growth. And it's fun, especially when you have
Beautiful.
friends. Don't do it by yourself. Get your friends like me and Arena and
Yeah.
me and Evie and Stephanie. All of us are here doing it together, and that makes it better.
So beautiful. Well, such a powerful, rich conversation. I would love to have you back on one of the future episodes. But again, if anybody is interested to join Crystalline Challenge, it's going on now. So join. And again, it's all about just keep discovering what is something that your soul is longing for and keep believing in yourself. And again, sometimes I get it. It's hard to trust in ourselves. That's why you want somebody who believes in you when you are not believing in yourself. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what the mentors and coaches are for, right?
Yeah.
So you are not here to do this alone, and you see much, much higher progress and more results when you have somebody by your end.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Irina.
Well, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. This was so powerful, so great. And thank you, Evie. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Zaina. We love you lots. And if you feel that this episode was inspiring, just share it. Share it with somebody who might benefit because sharing is caring. And I know that we want to bring the ripple effect in this world. So let's continue creating it one step at a time. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.